the gift of all of the stresses and the changes colliding is that sometimes they do force us to go looking for other answers because there's no way of continuing the way we always have done.
Yeah, and I think I've had this conversation with other people where a lot happens during midlife. You've come to the point where you've gone through all your 20s, 30s, you've had different jobs, you've had different life experiences. You might lose a loved one. There's so much that you've experienced, and I think that's why you get to that point where something's got to change. But I also felt like, and I say this to other people, I feel like early 40s, especially for women, become very intuitive. And I think that's when they start asking questions about, what I want from life, and understanding like the need to have a bit more self-care. And I think that's where I found myself in my early 40s, is looking for a way out of the 9 to 5, but also like trying to find where do I fit in here, and where do I feel happy, and what am I good at, and things like that. And that's what took me on that journey of self-discovery, but did a lot of self-development and really got to know myself and what I actually want from life. And so I just found like, a lot happened for me in my early 40s. And I started feeling a lot more just before turning 50, feeling quite grounded, I suppose, and excited about this phase and life. And because people tell me about, I work with other women who like maybe are in their 60s and they've been through the phase, and they say, oh no, there is light at the end of the tunnel, there's a re-emergence. And I'm like, so that's what excites me. Like that's what we were talking about before. There's magic to be had in this phase.
100%. Hello there, and welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, where midlife isn't a time of crisis, but a time of metamorphosis. Just like the journey through puberty and pregnancy to postpartum, our midlife transition is also a powerful portal of rebirth. The wise woman inside of us is calling, inviting us to slow down, to take stock, to speak our truth, to burn away all that no longer serves us, ready to step forward into our next phase of life. I'm your host, Kylie Fatchett, storyteller and midlife self-care coach, and together we'll unearth the real and raw stories of women who are right in the messy, magical middle, or have come out the other side, and the healers who help all of us through these crossroads of change. I hope that as you listen to these tales of breaking the ties that bind, shedding skins, and courageously chasing midlife dreams, that you too will answer the wise woman's invitation and set yourself wild and finally fucking free. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm very excited for this chat because there is so much gold just in your answers. Welcome, the beautiful Lucy Becks. How are you?
Oh, thank you, Kylie. Thanks for having me, and just giving me this opportunity to meet in this way and connect in this way. It's so exciting.
So excited. We were connected actually by, I don't know whether you know this, myself and the beautiful Vanessa, who is Holistic Bliss Magazine's, she's CEO. I don't know what her proper title is, but the founder of. She and I went to primary school together.
Oh, how amazing.
How is that?
Oh,
I know.
Awesome. Yeah, she did tell me about that. That's so awesome.
Long ago. So Holistic Bliss, for those of you who are not on the Sunshine Coast, is a beautiful, holistic-based, heart-centered, gorgeous publication, which I think now is quarterly. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it is quarterly. They used to be printed, but then they're not printing anymore. I think COVID probably put a stop to that.
Yes.
And so I've always loved that magazine. Like from years and years ago, I used to pick it up on my way to work.
Yep.
So yeah.
I was just on the Sunshine Coast on the weekend. I did exactly that. I was like, right, where can I get myself a holistic bliss? So shout out to Vanessa if you're saying, if you're listening. So Lucy, for those people who don't already know you, would you like to share whatever you're called to share about you and your beautiful self and the work you do in the world?
Okay, thanks, Kylie. Right, let's start. So I grew up in Zimbabwe. in Africa, and I moved to Australia about 20 years ago. And I'm so grateful that I can call Australia home and live on the Sunshine Coast, which is really beautiful. But as we were talking about the humidity and the heat, especially going through the menopause, find that whole humidity and heat challenging. So yeah, maybe one day I'll be moving to Tasmania.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. We can move somewhere cool. I'm actually going in a couple of weeks to New Zealand, and I was just talking to my friend over there, and I was asking her about temperatures, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I am going to be so happy to be there because of the heat in the body.
Yes, definitely. And I went overseas end of last year, and it was I just loved the coldness, and I actually thanked my menopause, like I don't feel as cold as everybody else.
Yes, I've got a
was
little
that was
motor
the
running.
plus. Yeah.
I've got a little motor running.
Yeah.
I am really looking forward to having a chat to you about, because you found yourself at I was going to say crisis point. I'm not sure you would say crisis, but at a point where a lot of different changes, which were creating a grief response and a feeling of stuckness and stress at a stage in your life. And then you have now, because of all of that, made some huge changes and do very different work in the world to what you used to. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, you said in your answers that you started your perimenopause journey quite early, so around about 36, although we do know that that is actually just the average-ish end of our 30s. What was your experience of that? Because you had a huge transformative point in time.
Yeah, I think it just came to, a lot of years just piled on top of each other, heavy blood flows, and my husband was working away at the time. I had to get my son to school, had a full-time job. It was just crisis overload, really.
Yeah.
And as I was saying to you, I had endometriosis really badly. So I've had a lot of surgeries over the years to try and clear that. Even had it right up into my chest cavity, had it covering all my organs. And yeah, it got to the point where I had to make a decision on how to get through this on my own, basically. And I did make the hard decision to have a hysterectomy, which is a bit of a bombshell because I don't actually talk about that to many people.
Oh, wow.
Because it was a very personal journey, and it wasn't a place I really wanted to find myself being. And so even on the day of the operation, I decided that I went in, but my whole body was just like really feeling the resistance of going through with it. I had a partial, which, as you might know, is I kept my ovaries, and I was sort of okay, and I recovered really well and carried on with life. But probably about 5 years went by, and I started getting these little hot flashes and things. And so that's when I went to the doctor, and I just thought, I really am not managing with this very well. And I think I started on something like some pills or something, which I wasn't happy about because I'm not into the pills or anything. And I took them and started feeling better. So I thought, is it that, not that? Anyway, after a few years progressed, I did end up on the HRT patch. Also didn't want to be on it, but felt better on it. And over the years, I've actually tried to come off it, but every time I've tried to come off it, it's been really horrendous.
Yeah.
And last year there was a worldwide shortage of the patch, and so that's when I thought, oh no, I can come off it now. And it didn't go down well, and I found myself in quite a tricky place. But I did get back on it and keep going, and so that was where that sort of perimenopause and my journey began. And because I had so much else going on in my life, I found like I was stuck in a corner, really. And that's when I started turning to more alternate therapies, and got involved with coaches, trying to find out what I could do with my life, and was not enjoying my jobs that, I was in financial administration. And
my entire body just went, ugh, ugh. I shouldn't have that response.
The actual job was fine. I'm a very homebody, so I wanted to be at home, but I had to go into the office, and only I could do my job. Nobody else could do my job. And it got to the point where I had to go overseas a lot because my brother was ill, and then my mother as well. And then they both had passed away within 3 years of each other. So I had all that to deal with, and stuff going on at home as well. And that is when I just thought, I can't do this 9 to 5 anymore. It's not, I would be driving to work and thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? I tried to resign several times. That didn't work. And anyway, eventually I started studying for the reflexology diploma, and started my practice, and still did my job on the side. So I was doing 3 or 4 days a week, and started my practice, which started off very clinical to start with. And then I started adding other sort of spiritual modalities, and that's where basically it's led me to here and now. And that's what I call myself, an intuitive reflexologist.
I love that. Oh my goodness. I've got so many, as usual in interviews, my brain is like going in 10 different directions. I actually want to reverse and ask you a question about the hysterectomy end of things, because I have not had a hysterectomy. I have friends that have, and I'm astounded that the gynecologists that do these operations have not mentioned to any of my friends at all the impacts of ongoing, in terms of if you do take ovaries as well, like starting menopause, and even if you don't take ovaries, how perimenopause can speed up or ramp up is my understanding. I'm not an expert in any of that end of things. Were you talked to about what
I can't
could
really
happen?
recall much information that was given to me, actually, but I think knowing that I had the ovaries, so I actually was doing okay for about 5 or 6 years afterwards. And then when that started happening, I went to the doctor, and they said, oh, no, you've got ovarian failure. And apparently that's the word for you going into menopause.
So premature ovarian failure technically
but
is
that was
not
probably
at the age you were, but anyway.
46 then, 46, 47.
That is not premature. It's POI. I've actually just done a fact sheet on that, and that is incorrect. But anyway, that's fine.
Well, I think that's what he had said to me. But I don't think I was given really enough information, or perhaps pushed in the right direction to maybe see some other people. And that's when I thought to myself, I had to go and find other answers for myself. But I was put in contact, my GP put me in contact with the endocrinologist. And so I worked with her for a little bit. Can't really remember how much I got out of it. But as we've progressed over the years, like the last couple of years, my fatigue has been really bad. Then I found out that I had a thyroid dysfunction as well.
Yes, you said
and then
that, yes.
I've just been diagnosed last week with celiac disease as well.
Oh, so awesome. Excellent.
All hormonal and
all hormonal, immune based.
Like a full basket of madness.
I know. That's what it feels like to have ADHD and autism and perimenopause at the same time. And in country Queensland, I will just tell you, estrogen is in as short supply as what you were just talking about a year ago. I actually just did a little happy dance because I was on the Sunshine Coast, and I went to a chemist, and they actually had the estrogen that I needed. And I think the chemist thought that I had lost my marbles, because I literally did a dance in the chemist, because at the same time in Australia, my ADHD medication is also not available. So the two of them colliding, and the fact that our hormones and our neurotransmitters are like doing a dance already. So when one is impacted, the other automatically is impacted. That has been really, really tricky. However, I have to say, I can see the blessing in that as well, because I have not been able to, and I never did have this kind of frame of mind, but it certainly has forced me to look at other ways to support myself that also help. And yes, I totally agree with you. When I don't have, and I have been using gel instead of a patch, and I hate it. It makes me feel really agitated and on edge. And reactive and yucky. So I'd rather not use anything. But
Yeah.
I would have to say that the invitation has been there to also look at, am I sleeping enough? Am I drinking enough water? Am I eating a diet that my body can use and, is nourished by? All of those simple things. And I think, as we were talking about before we started recording, the gift of all of the stresses and the changes colliding is that sometimes they do force us to go looking for other answers because there's no way of continuing the way we always have done. Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode.
Yeah, and I think I've had this conversation with other people where a lot happens during midlife. You've come to the point where you've gone through all your 20s, 30s, you've had different jobs, you've had different life experiences. You might lose a loved one. There's so much that you've experienced, and I think that's why you get to that point where something's got to change. But I also felt like, and I say this to other people, I feel like early 40s, especially for women, become very intuitive. And I think that's when they start asking questions about, what I want from life, and understanding like the need to have a bit more self-care. And I think that's where I found myself in my early 40s, is looking for a way out of the 9 to 5, but also like trying to find where do I fit in here, and where do I feel happy, and what am I good at, and things like that. And that's what took me on that journey of self-discovery, but did a lot of self-development and really got to know myself and what I actually want from life. And so I just found like, a lot had happened for me in my early 40s. And I started feeling a lot more just before turning 50, feeling quite grounded, I suppose, and excited about this phase and life. And because people tell me about, I work with other women who like maybe are in their 60s and they've been through the phase, and they say, oh no, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's a re-emergence. And I'm like, yeah. So that's what excites me. Like, yeah, that's we were talking about before. There's magic to be had in this phase.
100%.
Yeah.
So much magic. And I should say happy birthday because you just had
Thank
your
you.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank
I turn
you.
50 next January, so
Oh,
I'm
awesome.
just behind you. I also constantly hear from people postmenopausally how much, they are comfortable in their skin, they're happy setting boundaries, they know who they are and what their gifts are and what they don't like doing. And, and I think what a gift, because if we were able to, if there wasn't this change in our hormones and the way our brains and our ovaries have a chat and whatever, maybe we would be constantly in the doing of that busy early stage of life where it was just, I don't know, I feel like I was unconscious for a lot of those years because I was just going through the daily grind. I was really disconnected from how my body felt and how I was emotionally feeling because I hadn't learned to feel safe in my body yet. And that's been another great gift of perimenopause, is being forced, because yes, I will say that if anyone has any trauma in the background of their experience, it will come to the surface in perimenopause, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But what a gift, because then you have a choice, I guess, is what I feel like. And I also feel, newly, I'm not at menopause yet, but I do feel, I wrote about this yesterday. I feel like I'm held between, I feel like I can trust the fact that I can be anchored to who I am, but I also feel very connected to, I don't know, this is going to be, I know you will appreciate this because you are no doubt as woo as I am, but I am more closet woo than you, I think. But I have this sense of being held between, the darkness and the richness and this beautiful grounding of the earth and the sky, which is, full of light and expansive. And I just feel very, goosebumps, feel very at home, being held between those two forces. And I'm much more trusting of how things are unfolding too. I don't feel as much of a drive to strive and push anymore. And the less I do that, the more magic unfolds. And I'm like, if I'd known this years ago, but I wouldn't have trusted it years ago. I know that about myself.
Also, it's sometimes it's not about being bothered about striving some more, but it's like, do I want to spend my energy on that? Like, I think I'll conserve it for something else.
Yeah, something that I care about.
And I love what you say about the nature and the earth and the sky, because I've always loved nature and being out in nature, but it's really played a big part probably in the last 5 or 6 years for me. And that's where I go to. That's my grounding place. That's where I restore my energy. And so, that plays a massive part in my life.
Beautiful.
Nature.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Nature and crystals.
Nature, yeah. And I was actually just showing my friend, no one listening to the podcast will be able to hear this, but I planted gerbers the other day and I got my first.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's beautiful.
The color doesn't show up on a screen, but it's this deep, deep orange color. And I go out and water her every day. It's become a little ritual for me because, I can get very hyper focused in my work and forget that I need water and sunlight and, all of those basic things, basically like a houseplant. So, I think, and I also think too, as we were talking about before, like feeling like you're in that high summer of your life where, perimenopause is bringing all the heat and all of that, the veil is lifting, like you said. It was like, I heard that once described as when the hormone of accommodation, which is estrogen, starts to fall, all of a sudden the veil goes up. It's like, hang on a minute, what am I putting up with here? What am I no longer tolerating, or is no longer sustainable or whatever? But I feel like being out in nature just reminds me that there's a purpose for every season. And, I would love it to be spring all the time, but that is not possible without the other seasons and the contrast and the purpose of all of them. So
that's really I agree with that. And it's everything has a cycle, and everything in life has a cycle. I often say to my group of women that if they're no longer bleeding for whatever reason, to use the lunar cycles just to guide them, and it just gives them a bit of sense of a cycle, and just like what they can work on in certain areas of the lunar cycle, which is new. I love the new moon. That's my favorite.
Yeah, yeah.
Restarting. Let's restart this.
I'm so excited. I won't talk much about it because I don't want to break the magic of what I've just joined, but I have joined a program where we follow the wheel of all of the key
Nice
equinoxes, and I just feel like I felt very drawn to that because I felt like over the last little while when I restarted my business, and the first 18 months has been about constant growth, and I've just allowed myself to get way too busy, and I was completely disconnected from what that beautiful moon was doing out there. And even the seasons, it's like, just put the aircon on, I can power through, like that type of thing. And I was like, whoa, okay, the invitation here is to reconnect and to understand, just notice. Like I wasn't noticing anymore. And I'm like, how has this happened? Like I've always been the woman out in the backyard doing weird things under the moon, but I haven't been lately. So I'm really excited about. I wanted to talk to you too. When you were drawn to reflexology, you talk about you had reflexology as part of, because you had an infertility journey as well, which we haven't touched on. What was that first experience of reflexology like? Because I love the stories of the golden threads that lead people to the work they're meant to be doing in the world.
So I got married really young. I was only 19, and I wanted to have heaps of children, and just couldn't figure out why I wasn't falling pregnant. Went to a lot of specialists, saw a lot of doctors, and I had a laparoscope to just exploration surgery. And that's when they found out I had endometriosis. Which, I mean, I think I was probably about 23. I had no idea what that was. And so I ended up having a couple of surgeries, laser surgeries, which I had to travel quite far to Johannesburg because we lived in Zimbabwe. And so I had those surgeries, and then they said that would help me fall pregnant. And I went back home and waited a couple of months, but I also started getting into I loved herbs and my herb garden and naturopaths, and I saw homeopaths, and I just pulled out all the stops and, and explored a few different things. And I'm surprised even at that age I was sort of drawn to that. And being in Zimbabwe, there actually wasn't that much available. But somebody put me in contact with a reflexologist, and I think it was within 6 months, I fell pregnant. But both my husband and I went for, I think every 2 weeks we had a session, and the next thing, I was pregnant, and he was born on 23rd of February 1999. So he's 25 now. So I got my baby, and so I was chuffed. But then we've had a lot of there was a lot of political unrest in Zimbabwe, and that's why we had to leave. But it was arriving in Australia was pretty stressful, and starting a new life, and
huge change.
I did go and explore, and I did have IVF again here in Australia. But I think there was just so much going on, and we just really happy we've had our little baby boy who's now massive. He's
it's like a puppy. You think they're going to stay this little, but no.
So and then I suppose I forgot about reflexology for a few years, and I would, if I was going for a massage, I would always ask for reflexology, and then early 40s, thought like, what am I going to do with my life? And spent some time with some coaches, and I don't know how we ended up landing on reflexology. But I also wanted to study aromatherapy as well, and herb, become a herbalist. So it's like,
you're living my best life.
And then I settled on the reflexology and did a diploma in that. But a lot was going on while I was doing that diploma because my brother was ill, and then my mum fell ill. But I did finish that, and that was 2017, I think. And just got my life going. And then like I told you before, just I had my clinic at home, and I was also working as well. So I did Fridays and Saturdays at home, and then that started off very clinical. But as I was adding different modalities, I just found this new rhythm and this new intuitive way to do things. And that's why I have different services. I offer different reflexology. I have reflexology for the soul, which is, to simply describe it, I say it's reflexology with infused with Reiki. But that's just the simple version.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
That it involves spiritual download messages, oracle cards, crystal grids. So when someone books in for that, I know what they're coming for. And then I also offer Thai foot massage and Indian head massage. So I just I know what people are coming for and the reasons they're coming. And
amazing.
So that sort of just developed over the years. And now I'm full-time from home. I gave up my 9 to 5.
I wish I'd known this when I was on the Sunshine Coast on the weekend.
Oh no! Were you on the coast?
Yeah, I was at Urumba for the weekend.
Oh,
yes,
is
for
Urumba
4 days.
Hello?
Yeah,
no,
Coolum, just near Coolum. Yeah.
Oh, it's not far from me, by the way.
Next
it's only
time,
about 20 minutes.
I will be back because we were booked in Mooloolaba. This is our family Christmas weekend. So 4 families come together. We're 3.5 hours from the coast. And we had accommodation booked, and they cancelled with a week and a half to go, which I was incredibly stressed by. And then I just went, I'm just going to trust that we will find the right place. And this place at Urumba was like a tree house. It was right on the beach, 3 levels, a slippery slide for the kids from the top level down, a beautiful big pool, and just the most gorgeous feeling energy. And then inside you find this beautiful book that talks about how 3 generations of this family bought the house and have renovated it and added these huge decks, and it was astoundingly good. I studied Zen Tai Shiatsu a long time ago, and used to treat at Yamundi markets. And we went to the markets on the weekend, and I needed physical touch, but energy balancing so badly. I've been working way too much. And I just trusted that the right Zen Tai practitioner would be at the tent on Saturday. And I had the most divine treatment. And even though I'm a Zen Tai Shiatsu practitioner, the young gentleman that was there did a lot of specifically oiled foot massage and also oiled abdominal massage. Oh my Lord, I just about floated home, and my heart was like, this is home, this is home, this is home, this is where I feel home. But anyway,
I'm probably about 15 minutes from your mum.
Oh, stop it. Next time, because I am going back to that house. I am 100% going back to that house.
But it's amazing you ended up at that beach place because the universe put you there.
Exactly. And where we were going to be, when we picked it, there was going to be less people, and it's quite busy on the spit and everything. And I just really needed to just ground and be in nature. And that's exactly what this house was. It was perfect.
So nice.
So good. Nice. I'm interested when you look back at the version of Lucy that was very clinical focused to start with, and then you found your rhythm. And I know you've said that you have learned different modalities, but do you feel like that's also been partly just trusting yourself and trusting your gift more? Because I feel like that is also what tends to happen at midlife, if we let it, that we realize.
I think the reason I added the other modalities, because while I was doing my clinical hours, we had to do 220 hours in clinic, in the student clinic, before we were
released to the wild,
released out into the population.
Yes.
And I started having things occur while I was seeing clients there. So I wasn't scared of whatever was happening because I just trusted that. But there was like a fine line of when to talk to the client about that. And some people are coming for different reasons, and some are for others, and some are open to it and some aren't. So I was very careful of not, overloading a client with anything like that. And if once I get to know a client, then I would see if, okay, then they are open, then we'll talk about that. But
Yes.
and that's why I developed the intuitive side, where I'd have just my signature offer, which is reflexology for the soul.
Yeah.
And that goes for about 2 hours. I know why people are coming.
Yeah.
So I had to separate the two.
So you had a
Because
clear.
otherwise too much was going on.
Yeah.
Because the reflexology for the soul just takes a lot of time, and it's quite a different kind of session to just the nice relaxation.
Sounds very nourishing on a whole other level, apart from a physical treatment.
Yeah.
I'm coming. Who's coming with me? I actually did have a little ping when we were at this house. I'm like, I should run a retreat. And then I will just get all these amazing therapy people to come to this beautiful treehouse and
that would be
just
amazing.
provide nourishment. And I will find my friend who used to do beautiful organic food and stuff has actually moved overseas, but I would find someone else to do beautiful organic food. There you go.
I can help you.
DM me, people out there in podcast land, if you want to come to a Sunshine Coast retreat, I'll make it happen. And we'll get Lucy over and we'll all have everything.
Yeah.
When you began getting those, so when you say getting different information, do you mean more of the energetic or sort of, I don't know whether psychic is the word that you would
I like
use,
to say that the feet are the energetic portal to the soul, because it's almost like as soon as I touch the feet, I start sort of connect with, I say like on a soul level, and I connect not necessarily with past people, or it can be about anything actually. It can be about the chakras blocked, or it can be about a food that they should or shouldn't be eating. It could be about minerals or vitamins that they need. Crystals will come into it. It'll be there might be flowers, angels. Angels don't happen too often, but some people it does. That's why I say every single session is unique, because one time you come, like say you came today, the next time you come will be completely different, because it's on the day. But as soon as people book in, I start getting downloads. Wow. And I actually start making a few notes and before people arrive, and then during the session I'll be making notes, and then at the end of the session we'll do a recording of the audio, just of the feedback. And it's quite amazing. And it's quite hard to explain sometimes, because it can be so random and so out there. And that's what I say to people. I say, just take what resonates with you, because and go and explore whatever I've said, because I don't want to be saying I'm telling you this, go and do this. I want you to go and do that for yourself and explore. And sometimes it'll be like flowers and the spiritual meaning behind it and the symbolisms, and I also get a lot of symbols as well, also depending on the person too. But it's just encouraging people to go and do that research themselves and take what they need, rather than me saying, you go and do this. So I'm big about being your own health advocate and being responsible for your own health. And so you go and do that research and see what lands for you. And if it does, it does. And sometimes it might not make sense now, but it might do in a few months' time.
That's what often happens to me. I usually around my birthday in January, I'll have some sort of like reading or astrology or whatever, like something like that. And often like something doesn't kind of make any sense to me in the moment. And then like 3 months down the track, I'm like, okay, that actually makes sense. It's like click, click, click. Okay. I love what you're talking about too, because I feel like it is really important in all aspects of life, but particularly when you find yourself in, shifts or changes like menopause, that you practice self-agency, that you don't just listen to an expert and then magic pill it, because that actually may not be everything you need. It may not be anything you need, and you need to filter what they're
I
saying
also
through
say
your
there's
own.
no magic pill, and there's no overnight cure. And
Nope.
I'm just only here to guide you, because people do come and they're feeling stuck and like not knowing what direction to take. And
Yeah.
it's like I can guide you, but I'm not going to necessarily do it for you or tell you what to do,
Nope.
because you've got to work that out. And
Yeah.
and also I think it's the responsibility of it, and also that's come from my own experiences that I've learned,
Yep. I look back at when I used to coach, like in my last iteration of business, and I think, oh, I definitely wouldn't choose to say some of the things that I did back then, because I was this naive, early 30-year-old who thought that she had everything worked out. And now I look back and I think, a lot of what I would share definitely feels true to me, but I think the way that I delivered it, sometimes I definitely would not choose to do that, because I think part of my burning myself out in that iteration of my business was being looked to be the answer for people rather than just a guide to open up the awareness of your own answers or to find your own way or path or whatever. Yes, it's interesting what age does, isn't it? Lucy, let's talk about, you bring women in midlife together in circle. So how did that happen? And I am just so glad that there's people like you doing this. There's nothing like this anywhere near me. And I don't want to do it online. I want real people. So yeah, how did it
Yeah.
unfold to do the midlife circles?
Oh, I think I just saw like what I needed. I wanted the connection, and I needed the connection and I suppose like the ceremony and it's almost like for me, sometimes it's like primal. It's like,
Ritualistic.
rituals.
Yep.
That's what I was getting at.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started it a while back, and then that's the Women's Midlife Collective was formed. But I'd had a couple of circles here and there, but I wasn't honing in on that sort of niche. And probably in the last sort of 6 months to a year, I've got a private Facebook group with we call it the Women's Midlife Collective, and that it's grown heaps. I was offering a few online ones, which also but that was because I was finding it hard energy-wise to go out and find a center or somewhere to do it. But also packing the car, taking everything with
I know.
me.
I feel you.
It sounds
Same with
terrible.
yoga. I was teaching yoga and I'm like, oh my God, I love it when I'm there, but just the packing up and doing
I love the actual, the time there and everything, and then packing up. But then I'd find I get home and I was absolutely exhausted, and I could barely function the next day.
Yep.
But
I relate hard.
Anyway, so I did have one, just had one in January, and no, sorry, February. And we're just a group of women, different ranges of sort of 50s, mid 60s. And I usually do meditation, and I'll do a channeled meditation and cacao ceremony. And then I think the best part is sitting and talking, and just having a cup of chai afterwards, and just sitting and chatting, and people talk about how their meditation was, and that, I think that's where the connection is really beautiful, because you get your first bit, which is for you, and in the ceremony, and then the bit where you can share and connect. So and it's there's no right, there's no wrong, there's just come and be, and be seen and be heard. And
so good, especially when I think it is part of the psychological shift in early perimenopause that a lot of us, or a lot of my friends and clients that I've spoken to, tend to do at least a period of isolating or withdrawing from things. I felt a very strong drive to just be in my own space and not have to deal with anyone else or compromise anything or whatever. I just felt very, I don't know, fragile is not the right word, tender. I felt tender. And anytime I interacted with people, it was like I had all these raw edges that got kind of frazzled, and so I just stopped doing it. But now I'm like, oh, I've withdrawn from so many things, and now I have this desire to connect and connect in real life, not necessarily online, because I think, online is amazing. I love that we can be sitting in two different places and recording a podcast that people will listen to for months and years down the track. But I just think you can't replace what it feels like to be in circle. And I think there's so much of gathering in circle that we've lost, including the ritual of it and just the simplicity of co-regulation. Like we will talk about regulation as if it's a new thing. It isn't.
No, I like that word. I like that word. I actually just learned that word this last week. I did a somatic training, facilitated training last week, and that word came up a lot about regulating. Yeah.
It's having its moment in the sun, like menopause. But I mean, I saw a post, I should have saved it somewhere, on Instagram. There was a beautiful series of drawings that described co-regulation in really simple terms. And I was just like, I think because there is a rise of somatic therapies and we're using this co-regulation term as if it's a new thing, it's like, it's actually not a new thing. We've been doing it for centuries, well, not even centuries, from the beginning of time, from the beginning of any sort of human. But yeah, just being in circle and giving and receiving of that support and nourishment, just space to be heard and seen, no matter how you turn up. It's such a powerful thing. And I feel like, I don't know, after almost probably a few decades of taking care of lots of other things like careers and babies, if that was part of our, life plan or whatever, all of a sudden we're like, hang on a minute, what do I actually need? Like, where do I go to be offered support or held or whatever? It's a beautiful thing. For people that are listening on the Sunshine Coast, or for anyone, how do we find the Facebook group? And we'll put all these things in the show notes. And I have got other questions. I just want to.
Yeah. So the Women's Midlife Collective, you can probably type it into Facebook.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's a private group. So yeah, if you just ask to join. So it's a very nurtured space where I actually have a speaker come once a month, and beautiful. So I have sort of themes like this month has actually been about grief. So I have a speaker, and then we have a theme, and then I also I'm writing for Holistic Bliss at the moment as well as a columnist. So share my articles there, but I also get other women to share, like if they're in business, and they can share what their business is, but also like personal stuff as well, like how's their midlife going and what their hot tips are of
hot tips. I see what you did there. Sweaty hot tips.
So it's just really a space for women to come together and just support each other, and that's what I love, is women supporting women, really. Just like that, women to do that and support each other rather than butt heads.
Exactly. And also a very different feeling and safe place compared to some of very early on in my perimenopause journey, I joined a whole heap of Facebook groups that had menopause in the title, thinking that I would learn things. But I've now disengaged from every single one of them, and I never used to post, but I was constantly astounded at how much just flat out negativity there was about menopause and the change of life and all these things. And I'm like, if we just understand that all of that, or a lot of the negativity that is being spoken about, is because we have been programmed with this desire to always be this slender 20 to 30 something that can procreate and have unlimited energy. And it's like, we're just not meant to be like that for the rest of our lives. Thank God. But I feel like when I find spaces online that have a different point of view about midlife being, and like I said before, I've definitely gone through a lot of painful transformation parts of perimenopause and a lot of grief about different things as well. But also, I'm now starting to really appreciate the flip side of that, which is the power that unlocks when you are brought to your knees and have to find different ways of being. And I think what you're doing with bringing people together in a collective is that women who are still pre the point in time that's called menopause can hear from the people that are post and go, oh, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I love Anne-Marie from Hot Flash Inc. always says this is going somewhere good. And I just love that. I love that frame of reference. It's like it might be absolute shit today, but it is going somewhere good. So yeah, I'm grateful for women like you who provide safe spaces to be able to have that sharing of stories and understanding that, yeah, it isn't all bad news.
Yeah, and I think it's come from, over time speaking to people and finding out some true facts out there. And, because a lot of people are afraid to talk about it and have those open conversations. And and I'm just like, well, come on, let's have them.
Yeah, out with it. That's what I'm like. Let's talk about this.
Because everyone's so individual and they're going through their own journey. So I like to say, one patch doesn't fit us all, it's like we're all so individual and on different paths, and we can just share, some people might have similar things going on.
Yeah. And share what's worked and what's challenging us. My kids are constantly embarrassed because everywhere I go with them, I end up talking about menopause. And one of them on the weekend, we were in a fish and chip shop and I'm talking to the woman behind the counter about menopause. And she's like, for God's sake, Mum, through gritted teeth, that is enough. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry, too far, upsetting the apple cart of the family. But I'm just like, yeah, this poor lady was just, in the middle of what was obviously some sort of heat event, and I don't know whether she was menopausal or not, but I was like, oh, do you want me to just fan you for a second? So I just was fanning her with the menu, and she was very not on board with this behavior. But I just think if we're talking more about it, hopefully by the time my girls get to be at this life stage, they're not going to be blindsided like a lot of us were.
Exactly.
And they'll have their eyes more wide open about all the different ways that we can support ourselves. And how it can feel.
About it, I don't think I ever had a conversation about this with my mother, or even having a period. And that was a whole different kettle of fish. Or maybe that's not a good word to use. That was just a whole different time and place where nobody spoke about it, and there was a lot of shame around it. And I even think for menopause, there's shame around it as well.
Yeah.
And women I've felt to feel ashamed for whatever reason. But I also like to say to women, just you have to do what you have to do. If you need to take something, take it, and don't feel the shame in doing that, because I think some people feel ashamed, like to say, okay, well, I take HRT, or I don't want to take it, but I'm taking it, or because there's a lot of what's the word? There's a lot of stigma, but judgment.
Judgment is a good word.
Taking those things, but it's your individual journey and what is going to get you through that. And if it means that, and that's what you find helps, then, go for it.
And I also think, I think we need to be more clear in my own personal lived experience. Mental health wise was my by far my most challenging symptom that really did blindside me. It was like when I turned 47, I just click, the switch was on, and I look back now and I go, oh, I can see the changes were starting at about 43, but 47 was that point in time where I was still trying to do it all like I used to be doing it when I was 20, and I literally fell in a heap. And I always say to people, if they are either judging someone else or maybe judging themselves about HRT, I'm like, without HRT, I really seriously think that I would still be thinking about not being on the planet. And taking HRT has allowed me to have a better baseline so that then I can take care of myself better. So I move far more. So if you are in a place where life is so challenging that you are not able to meet your own basic needs, and even if you're not, even if you just feel like crap and you really want some support, like stop shaming yourself. And and I always say, it's never permanent. Like, you can try it. If you don't like it, well, you
Yeah.
stop. And I've had to do that a few times with HRT to figure out what works.
There's trial and error. I mean, I'm eventually at a place where I found that the patches work for me. So I'm quite happy with it. And,
me too, when I can get them to come to the Sunshine Coast, have a treatment with you, get some more estrogen.
You should get, did they let you get the whole batch? Maybe get one every day or something.
No, you were only allowed to get, I think the chemist that I did the little boogie with on the weekend allowed me 2 lots, but only because I looked so desperate. I literally do think, because she said, I really can't give you 2. And I'm like, like, I must have looked like a drug-seeking person. But anyway, how do you think your 20-something-year-old self would see all these changes that have unfolded through, and like you said in your original answers, like stress, pain, and grief being pivotal markers for change? So meeting these transition points and having again and again to kind of choose a different way, and you've been nudged into this beautiful practice of yours and creating collective circles. What would she think about how you live now?
I think it's pretty cool, actually, because I think she was looking for something back then, way back then.
Yeah.
Maybe not understand exactly, maybe think I was a bit of a hippie, but I think she would be pretty cool about it because, I was into that kind of stuff way back, and there was something tangible then, but there wasn't much available. And also, we didn't have the internet or anything like that. So it was books or, anybody else who wanted to talk about it. And I grew up in a very conservative place, in a very conservative way as well. So I was probably classified as a bit of being weird.
So was I. We're in good company.
But it's just, that's what made me happy. And especially I was in those 20s, I was very into my herbs and things and loved my garden. And so, I mean, I could have ended up being a herbalist. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. That's my list. I always think if I didn't have to earn an income, or if I didn't choose to earn an income from something, I would be a permanent student. In fact, I was enrolled in naturopathy, and then COVID came and I withdrew and never went back. But I want to study iridology, naturopathy, homeopathy, traditional Chinese medicine, herbalism, acupuncture. The list goes on. And like you, I've always been, a weird hippie.
I've done so many courses over time, and I've got better at selecting the ones that I really want to do. And last year I decided to not do any at all because I found it was distracting me from what I was actually trying to achieve. So this year I've been a bit more selective in what I want to do and where I want to focus my time and energy.
Discernment, another gift of menopause. Knowing what is and is not for me. Lucy Becks, you have been an absolute joy. Where do we find you online? We haven't talked about your website.
Okay, so I have a website, and that's www.lulabelltherapies.com.au, and you can also find me on Facebook, Lula Bell Therapies, and Instagram.
And we'll put all of them in the show notes so that you can easy peasy just click away. Thank you so much for your time and wisdom. It's been lovely to get to know you. And Vanessa Finnegan is a bit of a legend when she knows who to connect. She's
the connector.
Isn't she?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I know Lucy's my people, because if Vanessa says she is, she is.
Lovely. So, thanks so much for having me and just, connecting in this way. It's been really good. And I look forward to seeing the outcome.
And for everyone listening, just quietly, that was Lucy's very first podcast interview, and she was a star. So consider yourself podcasted.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right. See you. Cheers.
Thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. And if you enjoyed this ep, please share it with another midlife friend, or take the opportunity to go and rate and review the show on your favorite listening platform. All of these things really help us to reach more women in midlife. Now, I don't know if you know, but I am both a storyteller who helps healers and helpers capture and communicate their work through the magic of storytelling, and I'm a midlife self-care coach who is super passionate about helping other women reframe perimenopause and midlife as a powerful and purposeful time of transformation. To find out more about me and my work, you can head to Instagram at Kylie Patchett or my website kpcreative.com.au, and that is kpcreative.com.au, and you will find all of those links in the show notes. Have a spectacular day, and may you be setting yourself wild and finally fucking free.